Welcome back to Truck on the Seven Seas. This is episode number 55, and in this episode we're going to go over the first settlement at Landstar. So this settlement is going to cover the month of April. So Landstar posts its settlements in month form rather than week form, so we're going to have to do a little bit of adjusting fire as far as these videos go. So we're going to cover the month of April, and then after we cover the month of April, on the spreadsheet, I'm then going to show you the lane match tool and what my plan is for what lane I'm planning on running at Landstar. If you are new to this channel, welcome. I started this channel in order to show exactly what truck drivers make. We started as a company driver working for night transportation, then moved on to a lease operator working for night transportation, then moved on to an owner operator working for night transportation, and now we are an owner operator working for Landstar. I show all of the loads I take, what the revenue is, what the expenses are, and I compile all this information that I put into a spreadsheet that I share with you at the end of every video. So if this is a topic that interests you, follow the channel. So quick update on what's been happening for the last week or so. So last episode we left off in Lisbon, Iowa. So I dropped that load in Lisbon, Iowa. That was my first load. So I picked up a trailer in Salt Lake City. So I drove bobtail from Phoenix to Salt Lake City. Picked up a load in Salt Lake City, went to Lisbon, Iowa. Picked up another load in Wyoming, Illinois, and then went down to the Memphis, Tennessee area where I dropped a load, and then picked up another load right in that area, and I went to Phoenix, Arizona. And that was pretty much all I've done so far. So my truck still doesn't have any plates on it, so I went back to Phoenix to try to pick up my plates. However, they got sent to the Las Vegas address, which I asked them not to do, but that's where they sent it, so now I gotta go to Vegas at some point. However, on the way to Phoenix, I had a check engine light pop. So I tried to cycle it, just seeing, okay, maybe it'll just go away, maybe it's just being weird. So, I cycled the engine a couple of times and just reset the computer basically. And then later on that day, it came back on, so I went, oh, okay. And on a Freightliner, there's two check engine lights. One is like, hey, just get this checked out once you get the chance. And then the other check engine light is, no, you need to stop right now and get this checked out, stop driving. But the check engine light that popped up was just a, get this checked out as soon as possible. So I kept driving and I finished the load to Phoenix since, this engine wasn't in an emergency and pops up quite often. I brought it to a Love's and they said that basically the filters, the DPF filters, were full. So I went, all right. So I dropped it on Friday and then brought it into a Love's the next day. So they looked at it on, I believe, Saturday. And after that Saturday, like, yeah, okay, you might need to get these DPF filters replaced, which I was a little bit skeptical of because I did have Night look at the filters before I bought this thing, and they said they were only about 25% full. So I was like, yeah, okay. So then I brought it to another mechanic down the road, and they looked at it. So I brought it to them on Monday because they were a smaller outfit, but they seemed to know what they were doing. So I brought it there. And well, they also did DPF cleanings, so if the DPFs needed cleaning, they could do it. That's why I waited to bring it there. No other place did it over the weekend, so I couldn't find a place to potentially look at it and then clean the DPFs over the weekend, so I had to wait until Monday to bring it to a mechanic shop. So I brought it to the mechanic shop there. They looked at it and said, no, the DPF filters are fine. It was the NOX sensor that went out. So all right. So they put a new NOX sensor in there. So that got replaced, but that cost me a couple of days. So between waiting through the weekend, which was 2 days, and then getting the NOX sensor replaced, that was 4 days. And then when I was in Audubon, Iowa, so if you remember last week, I said I did a reset in Audubon, Iowa, I noticed that my truck was consistently starting because the batteries were running dead, and the batteries are brand new. And I started to kind of do the math on it and pay attention, and I think the truck ended up idling on that 34 a solid 4 or 5 hours during the day. And not because it was hot, it wasn't that hot at all, but because I'm in the truck all the time, so I'm running electricity. So I got the lights on, I got the computer charging, I'm doing all this stuff, and I just sort of pay attention to that. And I've been thinking about this for a while, and I finally decided, you know what, I think an APU is kind of mandatory for me, because I'm living in the truck, and even when it's not hot outside, the truck is oftentimes starting in order to charge the batteries. So in Audubon, I really thought, I should probably get one. And then on my way to Phoenix, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put one in. So I decided to put an APU in the truck. So after the NOX sensor got replaced, I then brought it to a ThermoKing, and I had ThermoKing put an APU in my truck. It's currently running right now. I don't know if you can hear it, Can you hear it? You could probably hear it. But it's running right now. So I got an APU in the truck, and that took another like 5 days or something like that. So I had it financed. So the ThermoKing in Phoenix had some finance companies that were easy to work with. And I just went, yeah, okay, I'll finance it. So that's what I did. I had it financed, but between getting the finance approved and then getting the thing installed, it took like another 5 days. So that was through the weekend as well. So in the end, I ended up taking a week and a half off, which I didn't necessarily have planned. So that's what happened. Took a week and a half off. Didn't necessarily have a plan, but that's what happened. And now we're ready to roll though. So I do have to get my plates in Las Vegas. So I'm planning on grabbing a load here out of Phoenix probably tomorrow and heading up to Reno because as you'll see coming up in my planning and the lane match, there's a lot of loads coming out of Reno that might work very well for me. So I'm going to try to go up there and see what's going on. And on the way, I can stop by Vegas and grab my plates. So that's my plan. And more to that, I'll explain that in a little more in detail after the spreadsheet. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and get into the spreadsheet. There's not much to show, but I figured I'd do a quick introduction of the spreadsheet and all that. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into the spreadsheet right now. Okay, it's spreadsheet time. So if you're familiar with my spreadsheets of the last 50 episodes, you're going to be familiar with this one because it's the exact same spreadsheet. So I just repurposed it. I made a few changes here and there, but this is the exact same spreadsheet, and we're going to be using the exact same spreadsheet I used before. So the only main difference is, so Landstar only posts their settlements once per month. So I get paid every week, but they don't post a settlement statement until the beginning or the end of the month, which I don't like very much. I wish they do it on a weekly basis. And this is probably going to necessitate a change. I'm going to have to do these, at least the spreadsheet portion of this channel, probably once per month, because their website is not clear. So it took me a while to piece all of this together because the information isn't as nearly as consolidated as night transportation was. At night, it showed your fuel, your expenses, everything all in one place. But here, like, it's kind of all over the place. There's a tab for like my fuel, there's a tab for my settlements, and then there's a bunch of other tabs for a bunch of other stuff. And then at the end of the month, they formulate it all and they put it into a statement. And even the statement doesn't show very much. So long story short, it's not very clear. This month right here probably has errors because I'm having to go to a lot of different sources to actually get all this information, and it's just not as clear as I would like it to be. And they only post it once per month. Now, I suppose I could try compiling all of the information on a weekly basis, which I might do. Still debating, but it's difficult to compile all of the information at Landstar, I'm starting to discover. So I might change that and I might do it once per week, but I'm not 100% sure. Right now, this is the month of April, and mind you, this is basically 1 week of running anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. I'll see what happens next week with my settlement. Maybe I can find a better way of showing it weekly, but I have to compile it from a bunch of different sources if I don't have the settlement, and even then the settlement is not very clear either. So the spreadsheet might only happen once per month. If that does occur, what I'll do between, the spreadsheet episodes is I'll just show my thinking in booking loads and stuff like that. So we might be going through a change here because I don't know if I can post the spreadsheet update once per week. It might end up being once a month. So we'll see. But anyways, quick rundown. I mean, nothing's changed too much. Here you have the revenue, the fuel expense, same thing, maintenance expense here. These are all the fees, license fee, card fee, transfer fee, the pre-trip advance, trailer advance, the escrow, workman's comp, EOBR airtime. This is the only one I don't really know what it is yet. The rest of it is pretty self-explanatory. And of course, bobtail insurance, I'll have to figure out what that is right there. And then this is the weekly settlement, and this is total since starting the program. That should say that. Yeah, so total profit loss and then averages and other information. Again, this is the exact same spreadsheet. I just remade it, so not too much needed. So let's go ahead and get into it. For the month of April, we did 3 loads. In those 3 loads, we got 2,385 miles. You're paid a total of $4,620 for an average of $1.94 per mile. Fuel expenses were $1,996 for an average of 84 cents per mile. No maintenance expenses this month. Other expenses: license fee $7, card fee $5, transflow $4, pre-trip advance $1,630, trailer advance $450, escrow $133, workman's comp $217, EOBR airtime $27, bobtail insurance $67.96. Total other expenses were $2,542 for an average of $1.07 per mile. Total expenses $4,539 for an average of $1.90 per mile. Total revenue was $4,620 for an average of $1.94 per mile. That brings our net settlement to $81 for an average of 3 cents per mile. Pretty good there. Pretty solid. Profit loss totals are exactly the same since I've only had 1 week. Averages and other information, well, there's not much to go over here. The only notable thing is my average load length was 795 miles, and all of the other information is not really worth going over because there are no averages. It's just 1 week, so not going to go over it. Okay, just going over a couple of things. This right here was not necessarily a load. That was just me bobtailing up to Salt Lake City to grab a trailer. I got paid $450 for that. And then this pre-trip advance. So Landstar will give you a pre-trip advance for when you get your first load or a series of load or whatever load. So if you come to Landstar and you have like $0 in your account for fuel, for whatever reason, they'll give you a pre-trip advance, and you can use that pre-trip advance to buy fuel and stuff like that if you needed to. And that's what that $1,630 for. That was the pre-trip advance for the month of April. That was the total amount I got. So yeah, that's handy, and that goes directly on your fuel card so you can fuel up and stuff like that. My fuel expenses were just shy of $2,000, and this $2,000 here, I did take a load. So the load going from Mississippi to Phoenix is not on here, but the fuel expenses are, because the month ended on like the 25th, and then the last settlement period, I guess, the period ended on like the 25th, because that's just the way the calendar dates worked out. So a lot of this fuel expense was for the Phoenix load, so just a note there. So that's why that's so high. Maintenance expenses, I didn't put the maintenance expense for the NOX sensor or my APU on this month because, well, it wasn't on this month. It was actually on next month's. So I didn't put that on here, but that'll be on the next month's statement. I could have put it on here, but it actually technically wasn't for this month's statement, even though it was right on the line. So it'll be on next month's statement though. Other expenses, I mean, most of this is self-explanatory. This is the only one. I'm not sure what that is. I got to find out more information about that. The rest of it is pretty straightforward. So the pre-trip advance, it was an advance, so you got to pay it back. Just a note there. And yeah, that's about it. That's the spreadsheet. Again, if you've been watching my videos, you know about this. This should not be a surprise or confusing at all. And for the new viewers, again, it's all pretty self-explanatory. There's my revenue, there's my total fuel expense, there's my total maintenance expense, and there's my other expense fees. Total expenses are right there, total revenue right there, and the net settlement is right there. This will be the totals throughout the program. So PL totals. So this is for this week, and then this is for totals. But because I only have 1 week, the totals are currently the same as the first week because there's no second week or anything like that. So hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's it, guys. Just wanted to pump that out. Not much to say. It does look like I'll have to do this once per month. I will see next week what I can compile and what I can figure out. If I can post these once a week, I probably will. Let me know in the comments section if you guys, if I could find a way to post it once a week, I probably will. But part of me feels like it's kind of redundant. Like if I post one every single week, I don't know. That could be redundant anyway. And some people have been asking for just like a monthly update or to compile it via months. So I don't know. I might stick to the monthly update. We'll see. But if I just post one spreadsheet per month, then I'm gonna still post a weekly update, but I'll show like here's how I'm planning my loads and stuff like that, and more of the planning side of trucking than just the numbers game. So I'm still figuring that out, but I'm probably gonna have to adjust fire because my settlements only post once per month. So what am I gonna do? So there was the update on the spreadsheet and the first month settlement. Again, that might evolve a little bit. I'll probably make some changes here and there as time moves forward, but that's for that. And yeah, that's the first month, sort of. It was really only a week of driving, but there's the first settlement for the spreadsheet. And I'll keep them coming as often as I can. So now I wanted to move to how to find a lane at Landstar. So they showed us the lane match tool in orientation, and it seems pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to show you my planning and what I'm thinking about doing at Landstar and what lane I'm planning on running if I can get on it and if it pays well enough. So let's go into the lane match tool right now. So if you go to Landstar online and you go over here to My Freight, and you go to Loads, and you go to Lane Match Tool, you got this handy dandy tool here. And what it does is it shows what agents are running what lanes. So agents, you might consider them brokers. They don't like to call themselves brokers because they're technically not. But what it will show is what agents are running what lanes. So it will show what agents ran what loads in what region during whatever time period you choose. So right now it's back all the way to November of last year. I don't want to go that far. So if I switch it to April of this year, and I end it May of this year, so 4/24 to 5/24, it will show me all of the loads that were booked during this time period. And if I select by equipment type, which I'm going to do, and I click van, it'll search by van. So these are going to be all of the loads, I guess, in the entire United States. Here, we'll expand this to, say, 90. And it's going to show all the loads in the United States and what agents are running them. So I'm going to have to hide information here a little bit again, but I just wanted to show you this and show you what I'm planning here. So I haven't done this search yet, so let's see what pops up if I do this. Might take a minute. Okay, yeah. So these are the loads running from place to place at Landstar. And if you look over here, it'll have count. And then if I go a little bit over, it'll show who the agent is. I'm blocking that information because there's a phone number right over here, just over there, and the name of the agent and stuff is kind of over here. So I'm blocking that information, but it's just a phone number and the agent themselves. But it shows how many loads the agent is running from where to where. So 307 loads running from Oakland, California to Fremont, California. So, and that's just this month. So in the last month, in April basically, this agent ran 307 loads from Oakland to Fremont. So basically around 10 loads per day running from Oakland to Fremont. And that's a lot of loads. So this just shows you where you could find loads, and shows you all the loads that Landstar runs that are like dedicated, I guess. There's Cal, Texas to Austin, Texas, 293, 10 a day. Cartersville, Georgia to Warrenton, Missouri, 209, like 8 a day or something like that, 7 a day. And you get the idea. So there's a lot of loads here. And yeah, so they showed us this, and I was trying to find a load where I could hit where my family lives. So I was going to try to find a lane that matched that. And what I figured out, so I got family that lives close to Reno, Nevada. So if I search Reno, Nevada, and then 100 miles, let's say, and I do a lane match for that, search. So again, same thing, I'm just blocking the information here and here because it's the agent's name and stuff like that. But Sparks, Nevada, which is Reno, runs to Austin, Texas, which is pretty good because I can take a load from Sparks, Nevada to Austin, Texas, and I could hit some family members that live along the 80, which would be kind of neat. So that would be a pretty good load, but then I would obviously need a load back from Austin, Texas. And then what I realized, if I were to take this load, right, and I'll start running this load, and they're running 140, or really 220 loads, because these are the same load, basically. Yeah, these are the same load right here, basically. One's just a regular van, and the other is a 53-foot van. I could do either. And so I could do either of those loads. So 225 loads in the month of April that this agent right here ran from Sparks, Nevada to Austin, Texas. So around 7 loads per day, if I'm understanding this correctly. So that's a lot of loads. So let's say I were to do this, and I were to get onto this Reno load right here and start running to Austin, Texas. So obviously I need to get back from Austin, Texas to Reno. So let's do that. Let's try to get back to Austin, Texas, or back to Reno. So I'm going to start in Austin, Texas, because if I were to take this, if I could spell Austin. So if I take the load from Reno to Austin, I would want to go back from Austin to, how about Reno? And what do you know? Austin, Texas to Sparks, Nevada, which again is Reno. And I was looking at this, and mind you, it's actually the same agent. I can't show you the agent, but it's the same agent. So I was looking at this, and I was just going like, well, that might work out very well for me. You know, I can just sit there and take that back and forth. And then, I already did a little map search here. So, I have family kind of along the 80. I'm being intentionally not specific because it's none of your business. But if I wanted to run along the 80, and then I wanted to run near Tucson, which I also have family in, this route would actually be kind of perfect for me if I can get on it and if it pays well enough. Because I can start in Reno, I can run along the 80 and visit family, and then I can go down through some state highways and whatnot, and then go through New Mexico and all that, and go to Austin. Now the quickest route is technically from Reno down to Kingman, and then Kingman straight over to the 40. And that route is like 1,700 miles if I were to do the most direct route. Okay, so 1,700 miles times 2, it would be 3,400 miles, right? Because if I were to go back and forth from Austin to Reno through the 40, it would be 3,400 miles. But if I were to go from Reno to Salt Lake, and then basically go down these state highways right here, and then drop it in Austin, and then pick another one up in Austin, and then go through the 10, yeah, it adds about 150 miles to the route because, again, the quickest way from Reno to Austin is actually through the 40, which is this way right here. See, I'm in here. The 40 right there, that's actually the fastest way. But if I go this way, I can visit family members, stop in, and yeah, it adds 150 miles to the overall loop, right? Because it's 3,555 miles versus the 3,400 miles it would be. But 150 miles is not very much in a 3,400 mile load. And I was looking at this and said, you know, this might work out very well for me because I can stop by family members, do resets at family members' places, and then just do a loop, you know? Just start in Reno, go across the 80, deliver in Austin, pick another run up in Austin. It might even be the same shipper and the same receiver both ways. I think it probably is. Pick it up in Austin, stop by the Tucson area, visit family there, pick up in Reno, and then just do a loop. Or, you know, I could go this way as well. Doesn't matter. And that might work out very well for me. So I was going to give this well, here's my plan. I'm currently in Phoenix, okay? So I need to go to Vegas to pick up my plates. So I'm going to try to get a load from Phoenix to Reno tomorrow. And then pick up my plates in Vegas, continue on to Reno. And then I was kind of thinking I might wait and see if this agent just calls me and asks me about this. Because, again, yeah, I guess there's no negotiating here. So I don't want to call up the agent and be like, hey, yeah, you got this load? And he's like, yeah, I got the load. And, you know, I don't want him to undercut me, basically. Like, I want him to try to see, I want to see if he calls me first, right? That's kind of my attitude here. And if he doesn't call me, well, okay, I guess I'll call him and see what he says. But, you know, the rate, I don't know what it pays. Maybe I should call him. I don't know. I'm still debating on that. But I might try to get on this route, and it might be my bread and butter if I can get on it and if it pays well enough. Because this would work out perfect for me. Because I got family along these routes. It's a good route. It's 17, well, I guess more like 1,800, 1,750, whatever you want to call it, miles for me. It avoids California, you know, pretty sparsely populated for the most part, and I could just visit family members and everything on the way there. So I might try to get on this if I can, and if it pays well enough. So that's why I'm in Phoenix, and I'm gonna try to get to Reno, stop in Vegas, grab my plates, and do that. But that's what the lane match tool does. It lets you plan like that, and you can do it for anywhere. I mean, there's that load from, where was it, Fremont to Oakland or whatever it was. There were like 300 of those per month, so like 10 a day or something like that. So you can use this. I mean, I'm sure they have similar ones in Chicago and stuff like that, but that's just one I noticed that might work very well for me. So I just wanted to show you that. That's not going to be part of this episode, though. In fact, yeah, that's just not going to be part of this episode. So I just wanted to show that, and yeah, that's basically my plan. From Phoenix, get to Reno, and then from Reno, try to see what that other shipper has. And if that agent, is just not paying well enough or whatever, well, that's fine too. I'll just grab something in Reno and try to get over to, again, the Midwest area and run that route as well. And just run that route and see how that works out for me. But yeah, that's my plan. Wanted to show that. Again, that'll be in the next episode. But that will actually do it for this episode. If you're interested in the spreadsheet I just showed you, or any of the other spreadsheets I've done in the past, they are available in the About section. You can click on them, then just hit File, Download, and then download them to an Excel sheet and use them however you'd like. And that will actually pretty much do it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.